Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our normal triangles meditation. We're on the morning schedule this time for the Ask program, and tonight we will have the science of triangles. We still have the seventh ray triangle of Aries, Cancer, and Capricorn to examine and see how it fits into our planetary group and individual life. I would just like to say that in this kind of work, it's really important to feel into the triangles with what DK calls depth of feeling. This is a reality going on behind the scenes. It may seem very subjective or even imaginary to many, but energies are being wielded. The energy of light and the energy of goodwill, at this time anyway, meaning the energy of love in action, which derives from love, of course. Now, when we work with our group members and when we think of the entire network of triangles that is forming throughout humanity and all the various nations and continents, we have to feel the reality of this formation. It's not just a visualization. There is a content to it which conveys the impression of its reality. Let's pause for just a moment and see if we can feel into that as we use willpower to create the triangles of light and depth of feeling, the triangles of goodwill. And you know, as we do this, I think we will sense the reality of a certain telepathic rapport which is growing up between us. There is something about the ability to bring down the higher triangles which we have often considered, the triangle of the monad, the triangle of the spiritual triad, the triangle of the soul, and to bring that down into the triangle of the personality. The center of these triangles is also important, all the way from the Lord of the world himself on the higher levels where the Buddhas of activity form a supervisory triangle, down to the triangle that we form with the Christ at the center, the Lord of love. So I guess the idea here is to really sense the subjective reality of these triangles and operate every day with our imagination and with a deeply concentrated understanding of the great invocation which we enunciate as we visualize our triangles. We get into it deeply because even though subjective and not visible to the majority, and maybe not visible yet to us, it is a great reality. So let's get into our meditation, breathing in the white light, and as we do so, sounding the Om a few times, 3 times actually, again the 3 inaudibly. And through exercises like this, we truly become light workers, workers in the light. Now, DK has offered some advice to one of his more advanced students, and it has applicability, I think, to all of us. I would ask you, he says, for a few minutes each morning, prior to doing the group meditation, to rest quietly back in your chair or bed and, closing your eyes, link up with your soul and with me, your friend. You will thus create a triangle of light between your soul, your head center, and myself. Fix and hold this triangle firmly in your consciousness through the power of the creative imagination. Then see it next as a solid triangle of light and not just an outline. Visualize the base of the triangle on the mental plane where Master DK works and where dwells and works your soul, considering that soul as the projection of the angel of the presence. The lower point or apex of the triangle touches the top of your head. And then see pouring down via the triangle a stream of light, golden in color and not white. It is more light orange than white. and see this downflow flooding your whole body. And when you have visualized this as perfectly as possible, then rest back in that light and bathe in it as you would bathe in the waters of the sea. See this light permeating every part of your physical and etheric equipment. And let it do its work without your having any definite idea as to what should be accomplished. The Master says, the rest of the activity is in my hands, and you can safely leave it to me. And this exercise will aid you, he says, in handling your life problem and your service, until such time as you enter into that light wherein consciousness awakens, free from the bonds of flesh. The blessing of your co-disciples is upon you and yours on them. And now, after having reached a poised stage and holding the consciousness steady in the mind and not in the head, contact the spiritual triplicity, which is that which hovers over the square and radiates the energy of light into the waiting field of active thought. Then together we say the mantram of the will. In the center of the will of God I stand. naught shall deflect my will from his. I implement that will by love. I turn towards the field of service. I, the triangle divine, work out that will within the square and serve my fellow men. Now focus on your own triangle or triangles, realizing that energy follows thought. And be aware of how triangles all the time, when tended to, become etherically more living. And we call upon our triangle or triangles, our group members, by name and with love, and keep a few minutes of silence to do this. we visualize the flow of love and goodwill and of light passing between the members of our triangular triangles. And we feel deeply this second ray energy and how it changes the square-like etheric field into a field of triangles. The spiritual light comes down, passing between the members of your little triangles network and through the whole planetary network. It descends from one of the Buddhas of activity, and this is the light of illumination. When the eye is opened, all is illumined. And this forming of triangles of light and goodwill concerns the reservoir of energy upon the inner and etheric side of life, which will automatically and with full circulatory effect enable the exoteric work of the men and women of goodwill to make progress. Thus says the Tibetan. We link our triangular triangles to the global network. The global network of golden triangles. And we realize that the network of triangles is under the eye of the great shambolic triangle, the three Buddhas of activity. And we know that in times of emergency within humanity or upon the planet, the Buddhas of activity can energize the triangles network for protective purposes. What does that mean for us and for our triangle work and for the larger triangles work in general? We see these all linked together. Your own little network, the network within humanity, and all linking with the supervisory triangle, the three Buddhas, and in the center, Sanat Kumara, or closer to home, the Christ. These triangles of light and goodwill are essentially evocative. First, the invocation, and then the result, the evocation. They constitute the coming ABCs of the science of invocation, and their strength is dependent upon the depth of feeling in the one case and the strength of the will in the other, with which they are created, and I might add, sustained. I have here given, he says, those disciples who are launching this new project back in the 30s, this new project which is so close to my heart, a new and useful hint. This work must go on. So let your spiritual invocation be heard on high, as together we sound the great invocation through the music composed for it. manifestation. We see the global network of golden triangles covering the entire planet, and we endeavor to realize the factual nature of this great living spiritual organism. It constantly substands and underlies world affairs. And we see it as a growing and vital reality of such life and potency that it can break through or break up all limiting outer cleavages, and by the very force of its interior life eventually externalize itself. Visualize at least 100,000 living triangles functioning within the square-like etheric body of Earth and transmuting those squares into triangles. We attempt to see the Earth as a sacred planet and humanity redeemed. Sound the sacred word Om 3 times. Sustain the circulation of love and light flowing through our own triangles network, the Earth's triangles network, and eventually throughout the entire planet, redeeming humanity and with it the lower kingdoms of nature. We thank you, friends, for your presence and your work together. We will continue with the Ask program this week. We've just entered the sign Libra yesterday, and so we look for increasing balance and equilibrium in our lives. And in a time of disruption in many countries, we re-emphasize this triangle's work. It is related to Libra and to the atmic plane, which Libra rules, and with which the Tibetan also has so much to do. We think of all the things we can do subjectively in our service, leading to a world which is prepared to receive the Christ. Which, after all, is our most important task. And so we stand in the center of love, offering the love of the soul, the light of the soul, and building towards 2025. The great conclave and the end of the period of the forerunner. This will be for us and for the world a great moment, leading directly to the Aquarian age.
At the center of all love I stand, and from that center I, the soul, will outward move.